A very warm good evening to all. My name is Jason Eckert. I am the Executive Director in the Office of Career Services, and I want to welcome you this evening to our workshop entitled The Chicago-Based Job Search, Insights and Advice from 3 UD Alumni. I'll introduce our panelists here in a moment, but let me first go over sort of the reminders regarding Aviate and general housekeeping. So as a reminder, you must be logged in for our students, that is, with your authenticated University of Dayton Zoom account in order to earn the Path Point. We do check the email address on the account, and that's how the Path Point is awarded tomorrow when Aviate checks the attendance list. So be sure you're logged in if you are a student wishing to earn a Path Point with your University of Dayton authenticated Zoom account. Unless you're invited to unmute, please stay on mute during the session. I'm referring to your microphone, not your camera. As a reminder, you must be live on camera in order to earn a Path Point. Any questions on that? We are blessed to have an ace with us this evening who can also answer some questions as well. We really welcome questions from you during this session, so please feel free to chat those. I can see those in the chat and then ask those of our panelists here. So once again, please be sure to stay on mute unless we invite you to come off mute to ask a question live. You must be logged in, only you in the room in terms of you being logged in with that University of Dayton account. We invite your active role in this session through attention and through your questions. And as a reminder, we do have an ace with us this evening, checking for having your cameras on and for appropriate professional behavior. I am thrilled to go ahead and kick off this panel. Once again, as I mentioned, my name is Jason Eckert, and I'm going to ask our 3 panelists, and I'll call on them in order to do this sort of in an orderly fashion. But we're thrilled to be joined by Angela Hill, who's a member of the University of Dayton class of 1995, and she is the Director of Recruitment and Selection at Northwestern Mutual. Craig Stimmel, who is from the class of 2005, who is the Head of Global Brands at Snap Inc., the parent company of Snapchat. And Jerry Stoffel, who is a member of the class of 2009. He is an employee at Adobe in Chicago. He is the Principal Experience Consultant and also an adjunct professor at the University of Dayton. The goal of this session is to provide students meaningful advice regarding networking and the job search in Chicago. And so I'd like to first call upon Angela. Angela, if you wouldn't mind sharing your career background with our students, as well as a summary of what you currently do for Northwestern Mutual.
Sure. Hi, everybody. I'm so excited to be a part of this. I just love University of Dayton and had such a phenomenal experience. So I love anytime I'm asked to do something like this, if I can make it, I'm always going to be there. My major at Dayton was communication management with a minor in marketing and English. And when I graduated from Dayton, I was in sales, outside sales for AT&T. Actually, I worked for NCR, which I don't think it's NCR anymore, right, Jason?
Well, it still exists. Much of the headquarters has moved to Atlanta, Georgia. There's only a small group of employees here and still in Dayton.
So back then, that was my internship, was working at NCR, who was bought out by AT&T, and it was a great experience. And then that led me to then my career at AT&T post-graduation. So I was, like I said, in sales for many, many years. And I was able and fortunate enough to stay home when my children were younger. And then went back into the work field, I was a client of Northwestern Mutual for many years, and then got into recruiting shortly after, and became the executive director of recruitment and then the director, and now I'm the chief recruiting officer for all of Chicagoland. So I support over 7 offices in recruitment. So it's been an exciting journey, and I think it just goes to show that that wasn't my major at all, but sometimes the path and just being open to opportunities can lead you to something that you never would have expected. Because when I was in college, if you would have said you're going to be a recruiter and a chief recruiting officer, I'd been like, what's recruiting? I wouldn't even have known that. So be open to hearing about and learning about different opportunities. That's the biggest piece of advice I'd give. But thank you for letting me be here today. I'm excited to speak with you all.
Thank you very much, Angela. And by the way, we are approaching 1,000 students in the room, which is just a phenomenal turnout. We appreciate all of you being here this evening. Next up, same question. Craig, would invite you to introduce yourself as well as to sort of tell us your brief career story.
Yeah, great to see everybody. Craig Stimmel, I was class of 05. I was an accounting major, like Angela said, kind of took the turns going through accounting. I had an internship at PwC and at Merrill Lynch when I was at UD. And then like Angela as well, NCR, I worked at NCR for 5 years in Dayton, which was, it was a big deal back then when Angela and I were there. It subsequently moved out of Dayton, but it was a landing spot for a lot of UD grads for a long time. But I was in corporate finance for probably 7 or 8 years, and then went to Procter & Gamble and was there for about 10 before moving over to Snapchat 2.5 years ago. So kind of, echo Angela's sentiments just around kind of the career arc and where it can take you. If you would have told me I would have been working at Snapchat even a couple years ago, I wasn't even on Snapchat, to be honest. So I would not have believed you. And yeah, excited to be here with you guys today.
Craig, thank you very much. And I've known Craig for many years. By the way, for our undergrads, if you're wondering regarding NCR and its history, if you visited Curran Place, the building on campus on Patterson, that building, which we now call Curran Place, was once upon a time and for many, many decades, the world headquarters of the NCR Corporation. Last but certainly not least, Jerry, same question for you, if you wouldn't mind introducing yourself and telling us about your career history as well as your involvement currently with the University of Dayton.
So Jerry Stoffel, class of 2009. I did not work at NCR, unlike our other panelists, but I've been a huge fan of digital marketing in my entire career. Actually, I got started in digital marketing because I took the e-marketing class my junior year with Irene Dickey, and she actually let me give a presentation on Twitter that was 2008 or so, when Twitter had just started out. So got a lot of positive feedback from the classmates and from Irene there, and that sort of started my affinity for digital. But like Jason said, I'm currently a consultant at Adobe. I advise Adobe's digital experience customers on solving personalization problems. Before Adobe, I worked at Kroger for about 4 years. I led their e-commerce marketing team. I'm also a UD teacher, so I teach a UD digital marketing class for the MBA program. I do have class tonight right after this, but it's only about 10 students. This is 1,000 students. Graduated UD undergrad 2009, like I said, lived in Founders, Marycrest, and 107 Evanston for 2 years. My roommate was a fellow, so did not have to do the path points, but I don't think we had the path points at the time. At UD was in Flyer Enterprises, so shout out to anyone in FE. Also did the P&G Challenge. Irene Dickey did that. I don't know if she still does that. And then after UD, got my MBA from Northwestern Kellogg, and I currently live in Chicago's Gold Coast.
Very good. Thank you, Jerry. And by the way, I know we also have some alumni in attendance who are attending this session to learn about the Chicago job market and networking. So a warm welcome to any University of Dayton alumni who joined us this evening as well. Let me begin by asking a question. However, we hope the bulk of this hour is filled with questions from our students. Feel free to chat questions to me, and we are happy to ask those of our panelists this evening. So starting with Angela, but I welcome your insight from all three of our expert guests this evening. I'd like to begin by asking, what is the current hiring climate like in Chicago? And what advice do you have for students perhaps seeking an internship this summer in the Chicagoland area?
I mean, I think the market right now is, there's a lot of opportunity. There's a lot of opportunity. There's a lot of competition. But I'd encourage you to just, be open to as many opportunities that appeal to you, and look for internships that you're actually doing something in that internship, meaning that you're not just going to be making copies or getting coffee, that you're actually going to be experiencing something that might appeal to you as a career. So that would be my advice, but cast the net wide, and gives you good practice just to have a lot of interviews in general. That'll be great practice for you even post graduation. But be selective, because there's a lot of opportunities right now. The hiring people are we can't find enough people to fill in the different roles that we have.
Same question for Craig. Current climate in Chicago and advice, especially since we've got a lot of first years through juniors on the line tonight, advice for seeking an internship in Chicago.
Yeah, no, I think I'd echo Angela's point. I think especially in the social media and marketing space, you're seeing kind of an explosion of Chicago in general. I think a lot of Midwest companies, especially CPG companies. So you think about like Procter & Gamble being headquartered in Chicago. You think about, Battle Creek, Michigan, having Kellogg's and others. A lot of powerhouses in the CPG space are out of the Midwest. And for a long time, they were called on out of New York City. But kind of as Chicago became a little bit more of an emerging player in the market, people realized that Chicago cost of living is better than New York's cost of living. They realized that you can get a lot of really great universities, not only University of Dayton, but Ohio State, Michigan, all the Big Ten schools are right there. So I think Chicago's really come into its own. Our office, just to give you guys context, like the Snap office in Chicago was probably around 40 people 3 years ago, and we'll be about 175 by the end of this year. We're going to move into a new building, a bigger building. So I think Chicago is really taking off, and it's kind of coming into its own. So I think, to echo Angela's point, I think, making sure that you're open to any and all opportunities, and then really differentiating yourself. I think, we're in the process of looking at interns for the summer right now. And, making sure, I think our recruiting team said they had something around 4,000 applicants, and I think we have 50 spots. So making sure you differentiate yourselves, on your resume, in terms of reaching out on LinkedIn, wherever you guys can gain an edge is what I would recommend.
Thanks, Craig. And finally, Jerry, same question regarding this process for aiming towards Chicago.
Yeah, there are definitely jobs available. There are definitely internships available. I think what I'll emphasize is if you're going to do it now, because it's February and internships start in May, June. So if you haven't lined that up yet, after tonight's session or tomorrow or later this week, definitely get that squared away. Because like Craig said, there are the jobs available, but they're going fast. So if you don't have your summer internship plans lined up yet, get on that ASAP.
I certainly agree with Jerry's advice regarding timing. And as the first plug of several, Monday happens to be the Spring Career and Internship Fair, where there are over 155 organizations attending. The fair is Monday from 1 to 5 at the UD Recplex. I'd love to see all of you there. And there are some companies that are offering roles in Chicago, and you can look for those in Handshake. I want to talk about networking in Chicago. And I think networking, the advice may be similar in terms of any geographic market, but I'm going to mix things up this time, give Craig the first chance with this question. Craig, what's your advice for current undergraduate students or our alumni who may be on the line this evening regarding networking and getting your foot in the door regarding the Chicago marketplace? Yeah,
I mean, I think, I would encourage you guys, Jason didn't pay me to say this, but absolutely take advantage of all of the events that happen inside of the university, right? I think that's first and foremost. You'll notice that many employers are at the career fair. Many of them are on the Handshake site. So as we go out and we look for interns, I think it's paramount to use universities for recruiting. I'd also say like the COVID was good and bad in a lot of ways for the job market, but I think one of the ways that it actually worked in students' benefits is it just took down the walls of having to be in front of someone. So now it's much more a customary for any of us, for Angela, Jerry, or myself, to get a LinkedIn comment, to get a email from someone unsolicited. And, having a conversation with someone now is a much more approachable manner than it was, when I was looking for an internship. It was very formal, right? You had to make sure you got in someone's office, get someone's time, have the conversation. Sending a quick text, sending a quick email is kind of open now. So I think it's on each of the students to kind of take a little bit of the initiative and reach out. I think that, one of the best things about the university, in my experience, has been fellow flyers show up for each other, right? Like Angela mentioned at the beginning, none of the three of us would be here if we didn't have a fond place in our heart for the university, and the ties run deep. So I'd say, leverage your networks, look on LinkedIn, the connection points where it's the first connection, second connection, third connection. You can find people who know people, even if it's an area that you're unfamiliar with.
So same question about networking to Jerry, if you don't mind responding regarding networking and Chicago.
Well, 100% agree with everything Craig said. The best part about UD is the community. People are willing to help out current UD students. The fact that you are a student is a positive thing. Position yourself as such and own it, because everybody wants to help out a UD student, especially if you're alumni. So to Craig's point, LinkedIn is a great resource. Cold email people. If you send an email to a dozen people and no one responds, you spend 10, 20 minutes doing that. But all it takes is that one connection for you to get that internship, for you to get that job, whatever. So like I said, people really want to help current students. Another thing, when you're in Chicago specifically, I know in person is sort of tricky, but Glasgow's is the bar where UD alumni go to watch Flyer basketball games. So like I said, the past few years have been a little tricky with COVID, but prior to that, that was a great place to go on the weekends or late nights to meet up with other Dayton alumni. So I know I've met students of all backgrounds at Glasgow's, so it's definitely a cool place to hang out.
Jerry, I should try to find a networking story or hiring story that started at Glasgow's.
I'm sure there are plenty, Jason. I'm sure there are plenty.
Maybe that could be a story for an upcoming alumni newsletter, Amy. We'll have to focus on that. By the way, I want to thank my colleagues who work in university advancement, in particular in the alumni relations area, who are our co-sponsors for this evening's workshop. Angela, any additional comments to add to what Jerry and Craig said about networking?
I just, like, the only thing, just to kind of echo them, especially if you see UD alumni, like I've gotten emails just directly, I've gotten messaged on LinkedIn, and I get lots and lots of those, but by far when I get a UD one, I'm reaching out to them, I'm connecting with them, how can I help in any way? And I'm sure, just not speaking for Craig and Jerry, but I'm sure they feel the same, because you just want to help. We know how we were helped, and it matters. And then also just connecting, even with your high school, like different parents that that might have an occupation, like putting yourself out there, reaching out to see if you can have a conversation with a parent that from high school. I'm assuming everybody is from Chicago, correct, Jason? Like that's on this call?
I wouldn't assume that in part because the demographics wouldn't meet that number. I think in part there are students who may be from Nebraska and want to work in Chicago for the summer, for example.
Perfect. So those that maybe are from the Chicagoland area, that would be another opportunity for networking. Like if just back from your high school roots, like reaching out to a parent that is in the field that you're interested in learning about. And that's all you have to, say, like, I'm interested, or this is my major, I'm looking into internships and this, and I remember that that's what you did. I would love to maybe see if you'd be open to having a conversation, maybe 15 minutes of your time, to see if you have any suggestions on how I can get into that industry.
That's great advice. Thank you, Angela.
Yeah.
Good.
Nope, that's it.
Okay, so we're getting great questions in the chat, and I'm going to begin to direct some to our panelists. I'm going to ask Craig this first question because he referenced the volume coming into a company like Snap. How do you stand out when an applicant is among hundreds or thousands of students applying for internships?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think, differentiation is the best thing I could say. Like for Snap, for example, we had, kind of the resumes that came in, our recruiting team pares down from, that 4,000, and think about like on my team of 20, 25 people, we're hiring one intern, right? So she basically sent me 100 emails to look through that went through the initial screen to then pick 10 folks to go through for an interview. And when I think about what stood out, there were 2 resumes that actually, take everything aside, they put their Bitmoji as their picture on their resume. And for somebody that works at Snap, that immediately catches your eye, right? And you're like, well, this person understands the platform. They know what's going on. They understand how it's kind of set up and structured. So I think, standing out any way you can in a field of thousands of resumes where someone is literally probably looking it over, they're looking for keywords, they're looking for key points to stand out. And if you have your Bitmoji on for Snap, and that would apply for anything, whether it's Adobe, whether it's Northwestern, whether it's if you're applying at a hospital, whatever it ends up being, doing a little bit of research into the company that you're applying for and handcrafting your resume, I think goes a long way.
Great advice. Thank you, Craig. I'm going to ask Angela to jump in first on this next question. If we apply for an internship or a co-op in the Chicagoland area, but we're not from Chicago, do companies ever offer funding or reimbursement for housing or transportation?
I can only speak, my initial gut, and I don't know the answer to this, so I apologize. I know for my particular company, we do not. So sometimes if I get a resume from a student that's interested in our internship program, that's looking to move to Chicago for the internship, we don't offer, reimbursement for that. And sometimes if they're not necessarily looking to get into the Chicago area, but they want to get into the company, then I will connect them to wherever they're from to make that connection with that particular office. Like for my company, we are 100% domestic. We have offices all across the country. And I have done that very often where someone's interested in learning about the opportunity. They're not from the area or wouldn't be living here for the summer, but they want to have the opportunity to work at this particular firm. Then I'll connect them with somebody else, but we don't reimburse for internship opportunities. I don't know if Craig or Jerry, if they do too.
Yeah, Craig or Jerry, any comments on that question?
Yeah, we do, Angela. I think it's just like to your point, it just depends on the company. We have a housing stipend that's built in for students for an internship for I think a period of 3 months. So I think it just depends on the company.
Yeah, I would agree with Craig regarding it depending on the company. I don't think the majority of companies do. Certainly that's an advantage for those who are offering that possibility. I will say we're happy to work with students who have this question, and often local universities, DePaul comes to mind, will open up their residence halls in the summer, and for pretty inexpensive rates, you can live on a college campus in the summer while you're interning with a company in the Chicago area. There are also third-party companies that often provide group housing at a discounted rate for a summer period, and we're happy to help with those conversations.
That's great to know. I wasn't even aware of that. Yeah.
We do that here, although we've stopped momentarily because of COVID, but we'll see where the future leads there. Let me ask Jerry this next question. Does it look bad to a recruiter, someone doing hiring work, if I were to take a gap year after undergraduate graduation to volunteer or perhaps travel?
In my experience, no, because if you're doing that and you could tell a good story and you could tell a good rationale, you have solid rationale for why you did it and what you did. No, I think that's something that would make you differentiated amongst the other individuals applying for that role. So I think it's all a matter of framing. If you have a good story to tell and why you did it, I think it could be a benefit, not a detractor.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I think the bottom line is have a story. And if a recruiter asks you, why did you choose this gap year? And if you're working with the Peace Corps or Teach for America, there are very good reasons. But have a story in mind, especially if it's related to a personal endeavor or travel, about how you were gaining experience, gaining confidence, getting ready for that first actual position out of college.
Absolutely.
I'm going to go back to Angela for this next question and then hit up Craig next. I'm trying to combine a number of questions. And by the way, students, great questions coming in the chat. A number of questions about first-year students. So this question, do you think that a first-year student should be looking at an internship at this point? And I know I face competition from juniors, seniors, and sophomores. So what advice would you have, beginning with Angela, for a first-year student looking for a summer work experience?
Well, first off, I wouldn't think it's necessary. But certainly if you are interested and you want to try to, explore that, then I would encourage you to do that, but it's not necessary. I think as a freshman, you're learning a lot, even outside of your career, right? You're learning to be on your own, independent, and you've had work experience, but I don't think it's as necessary to do that as a freshman, to get like critical work experience for post graduation. Those are, to me, I think of internship being more, when you're more of an upperclassman. So, but I'm not saying that you shouldn't do it. Like, that's great. I mean, it would just build up your resume, but I don't think it's necessary. When I see that someone has that experience, I think, well, that's great. But also I'm here to provide that experience too for an upperclassman. So if I see someone that, is looking to get into the industry, then I would, want them to join the internship. So that's all I could say about that, is that I don't think it's necessary, but if you really want to, then do it, because it's not gonna hurt you in any way, but it just gives you more opportunities to try different things each summer, I guess, if you're not sure.
Really good advice. The more experience you have, the better, although I think it can be hard for a true first-year student to have an internship in their field, although I would try, because if you have one, it'll make that summer after your sophomore year, or even during the academic year internship or co-op, even better.
Yeah, you might say, like, after you did it, if you had that opportunity, you might be like, wow, I thought this is what I wanted to do, but now that I've actually experienced it, maybe I want to change. And that could be a good thing.
So Craig, you talked a little bit about personalizing your resume, and I love the advice regarding including your Bitmoji for a company like Snap. I've had 2 or 3 people ask this question, so I'm going to put these together. What jumps out to you aside from the Bitmoji when you're reading a resume? What are some best tips for students regarding writing a resume that a company would really open it and pay a lot of attention to their content?
Yeah, it's a good question. So, I mean, I think at the end of the day, I always, when I was applying for jobs, and I think the best resumes are crafted to the role that you're applying for, right? So knowing, where and how, like what you're looking to do, like if you're going to go work for Amanda, or you're going to work for Jerry, or you're going to work for me, it's going to be 3 very different skill sets that we're probably looking for with different backgrounds. But I think, when you look at, I was looking at a slew of resumes today, right? And people have worked at Dairy Queen, at Best Buy, at golf shops, right? Whatever you're doing, I would craft like what you do inside of a Best Buy role or inside of a Dairy Queen. I worked at Dairy Queen. That was my first job too. But like, it's different for if you're applying for Angela or me or for Jerry, right? For me, it would be maybe the sales side with a little marketing spin, right? Like I worked at Best Buy and I was upselling customers on TV packages and so on and so forth, right? For Angela, it might be a little different. For Jerry, it might be a little different as well. So I think like making sure that your resume is crafted is one. And then the second piece is, majority of the time, very few people get past that top tagline, right? So having a strong opening 2 or 3 sentences is key for me, right? Like you want to tell a little bit of a story about yourself in 2 or 3 sentences. that gets you an edge to get put into the pool, to get sent to the, remember, the first person that's looking at it is just a screener, right? So to get past the screener and into the actual hiring manager's hands, you want to have a little creative blurb about yourself. That would be, you know, it can be a little something off guard too, right? Like, I worked at Dairy Queen and I can create the world's best Blizzard and sell it to you in 30 seconds, right? Like something that just grabs your eye to differentiate yourself amongst a sea of resumes.
Any resume advice, Jerry or Angela?
Jason, I think what I would add is less important than the resume, in my opinion, is the referral. Like if you could secure a referral to any role, that's really key. To have someone vouch for you and your work ethic, that's paramount, because a lot of organizations do have referral programs. So I know that people have reached out to me before asking for referrals, and one would have to be pretty bold to just ask for a referral if I don't know you. I appreciate the ask. But if one gets to know me or gets to know another person, you know, maybe there's an opportunity for a referral. So referrals are definitely the way to go, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. And then just, I mean, it kind of goes without saying, but make sure that it looks very neat. All spelling is correct. One page, you know, it's not good probably to have multiple pages. I've seen that before. Having when you graduate, make sure that that's very clear so they know that you're interested. Sometimes like in an internship, they might not know just because it's not clear if they're in school looking for an internship or post-graduation. I think that's about it. I mean, if I just had to summarize, be clear, be concise, one page. Like Craig said, have that catcher, know the company you're applying for, know what their values are. Do they align with yours? And then if they do, then craft it, like Craig was saying, craft your message to that, because that's, you know, people want to bring in people that are like-minded and share the same values.
So let me build upon the resume conversation, and maybe I'll start back with Craig. Besides my work experience, is there anything you could add to a resume that, and I know this is kind of a bit repetitive, but other than experience, are there things I can add to a resume that make my own resume pop for a recruiter?
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, for me, I always look at, is there any global experience, right? Did you study abroad? Did you take a trip abroad? Is there something that, you know, you've done internationally when you go to work for a global company? That'll always stand out. You know, I think also if there are extracurriculars that you guys do, you know, one big thing like our recruiting team looks for is just well-rounded students. So yes, obviously your GPA is a big piece of that, but you know, are you a student athlete? Are you in intramurals? Are you in a fraternity or sorority? Are there other things that you do? Because also like your resume should get to know a little bit about you. So, you know, including things that you're interested in and what that ties back to. So I think those are a couple of the key ones that we look out for.
I would just add to that too, like any leadership opportunities that you've had. If you've been a leader in any type of capacity, like on a team or a group or association, that also stands out for me.
One more thing, certifications are great. So I know a lot of the classes you have to do like Google Analytics certification, their SNAP certification. There's so many great free resources that are out there that you can complete in an hour or so that look awesome on a resume, that look awesome on LinkedIn. And then don't underestimate the power of your classes. Like if you have a cool group project, like definitely call that out. Like there are so many interesting projects that you're working on that you have led a group of your classmates. Speak to those too.
So I'm kind of grouping questions, and we just had another resume question. And by the way, students, please feel free to ask questions regarding Chicago. I certainly give priority to those as well, considering our theme this evening. This student talks about having a great deal of experience and feeling like her resume could be a 2-page resume. She gets a lot of advice on campus, including from our office, regarding having the resume stick to 1 page. I'll ask Angela first. What are your thoughts on resume length for a current undergraduate student?
You know, like I said before, I really would encourage you to keep it to one page. And if you can combine different achievements and accolades, I would do that, just because, you know, like we've all said, we're getting hundreds of resumes, and when there's multiple pages, it just gets, it gets lost. And quite honestly, you want them to be able to, you want your resume to stand up enough, out enough, that I want to have a conversation with you. And then in that conversation, then you can explain like all the wonderful things that you've done. But those bullet points, those special things that really make you stand out, by all means, those are the things that should be in your resume. But I really would encourage you to try to keep it down to one page. And if you want to send me your resume after, I could take a look at it. And maybe once I see it, I might be like, wow, you know what, you're right. You should keep every single thing on here. But if you could condense it, and if I can help you in any way, I'd be happy to do that. But it even for career changers, when I get multiple pages, it gets lost. The specialness gets lost, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I mean, I think also like your LinkedIn page is a great place to go into more detail. Like a lot of people, if you have a portfolio that you want to put up or creating websites, they include a link about themselves. That's the place to go into a little bit more detail. Definitely keep it to a page for recruiting purposes.
In the chat, Jamie, who's one of our office's career peer mentors, talks about how if you need resume help, we offer that every day on a first come, first serve basis during drop-in hours, noon to 3 every day. Come on down to the Alumni House. We're happy to help you. You can also request resume feedback directly through Handshake as well. So I'm going to move away from talking about resumes for a moment. Great question just came in regarding Chicago. This student feels like Chicago might be more competitive in terms of the job search. Does going after a job in Chicago differ at all for her as opposed to looking for a job anywhere else? For any of you who would like to jump in first.
I mean, I would think it's going to be equally competitive anywhere you go. It just really depends where your network is. There are a lot of UD alumni in Chicago, so that probably works in your favor. If you're from Chicago, you probably have family and friends who are here. Again, I really lean into the networking aspect. If you're moving to a new city with no network, it's going to be a bit more challenging for you to land that role. Not insurmountable, but if you have a network existing within Chicago, it's definitely going to serve you well. And again, lean into the UD network. People want to help.
Yeah, I'd echo what Jerry said. I think that it's probably no more competitive than anywhere else that's out there right now. And also, when you get to bigger markets like Chicago, New York, you're going to have more jobs as well, right? So it's kind of a numbers game at that point, where the more places you can get your resume into, the more likelihood you are to have an interview come back.
If you could find any connection, like Jerry was saying, like any type of networking connection, use it. There's nothing wrong with that. In fact, that's what I can give you time and time again examples of how it was a connection, like somebody, or whether it was just even as cold as we were connected through UD. But at least once I have a conversation, then I want to help that person find something. Or, you know, I had a call actually from a UD alumni. He's a financial advisor in Cincinnati. He had somebody did the internship with him over the summer, but that gentleman wanted to move to Chicago. So what did he do? He called me. He said, Angie, I've got someone that wants to be a financial advisor with your firm. He's a great, person. He did a great job at the internship. What did I do? I had resumes, I had stacks of resumes. That resume went right to the top. I connected him with the recruiter, and he's in the interview process right now. So anytime you have a connection, like Jerry's saying, just some type of networking, use it. You'll keep the job ultimately and get the job because of who you are and your work ethic and all of those things. But anything to open a door to kind of, like Craig gave great ways to make your resume stand out, but then also it's not a bad thing to use any connection outside in your networking. I think you have to combine both of them.
I'm going to build on what Angela's comment was with this question. That I'm going to jump in first, kind of call my own number here, and then welcome feedback from Jerry and Craig as well. So what are the best ways to connect with alumni currently living in Chicago? I think two things come to mind right away. There is an amazing resource that I'm placing in the chat called Flyer Connection. Flyer Connection is a resource that is sponsored by our great partners on campus in Alumni Relations and the Alumni Association, along with our department. And Flyer Connection has hundreds, if not thousands, of very active and eager alumni ready to network and talk with you as current college students. And you can filter by location, and Chicago is one of the more active markets in Flyer Connection. So I've got the link for Flyer Connection right in the chat. You can also, during the appropriate sign-up periods, be connected with a mentor, and you can even give preference for a geographic area. My other piece of advice is that LinkedIn's a great place to have this conversation. You can filter Chicago and University of Dayton alumni status within LinkedIn, and you'd be amazed how many just tremendous alums we have that are active, not only in LinkedIn, but also in Flyer Connection. But Jerry, Craig, any thoughts on that question about the best ways to make Chicago alumni connections?
See, Jason, I think the best advice is just doing it. Just putting yourself out there. That's the hardest obstacle. Set a goal for yourself. I want to reach out to 50 people this week. I want to reach out to 100 people this year, whatever it may be, just doing it. There's no excuse.
Yeah, I agree with Jerry. I think, he was right in the sense that it's always a numbers game, right? If you put out 20 LinkedIn emails, you're probably maybe going to get a response on a couple, but the more that you do it, the more you're going to get responses back. And that usually comes in waves, right? When people have downtime and high times, it's and low times, it's going to come. I'm going to be able to respond to a lot more when I'm on a plane, or when I'm at a low point when there's not a lot of work going on. So just knowing that and constantly getting out there, I think, is the right play.
So I love this question. I know we have a number of students, a lot of students, if I'm being honest, who are a little more reserved. So this student writes, I'm targeting Chicago, but I'm honestly anxious in a social setting and have a hard time reaching out. I'm not an extrovert. So tips for me, networking, if I am someone who's a little more reserved socially. Maybe Angela could jump in first regarding that networking for introverts conversation.
Yeah. I think one way to do that would be through LinkedIn. I think it's a very passive way to connect with someone, right? So you're not like in a very social setting. Sending a message or trying to connect, I think, is a perfect way to do that without being like going to a Glasscott's or something, like a very social event, right, Jer? Like, so that would be one way. Sending an email. I mean, you have to put yourself out there to a certain extent, but you don't have to necessarily be at like networking events if that's not you want to be authentic to who you are and what makes you comfortable. So my first recommendation, if I was shy with that, I would just still connect via LinkedIn, because that's just messaging, and you could be thoughtful with how you want to answer, what questions you want to ask. And then if someone's open to having a conversation, then at least it's one-on-one and it's not in a big group.
So we're all, both myself, Craig, Angela, we're all very outgoing. We're all very gregarious. We're all very personable. But I think the one benefit for any sort of UD connection is that we've all been there before. Like, we know what it's like to be in your shoes. We know it's intimidating. We know it's awkward. We know we don't have that muscle yet. So we've been in your shoes. And I honestly think the only way that one can sort of cope with that is just by doing it and just being honest that, hey, I know this is awkward, but that's the reality of networking.
And I might just add, maybe it's just because I work for a social media / messaging company, but like texting and snapping are completely underrated in my opinion. Like, for me to get on the phone and talk through, something for 15, 20, 30 minutes, it's going to be busy inside of a given day, given the schedules that we all have, especially in like the virtual world. but to just shoot a quick text, shoot a quick snap, like it's very easy for us to get back and forth in a virtual world. So I would encourage that if you're a little bit more introverted. I think that's completely fine to say, hey, like cognizant of your time, know you probably have a lot going on, would love to shoot you a quick text on something I'm thinking about, right? It makes it very easy.
And Craig, let me just give you an actual example. So I've been working with a UD student to get him into Adobe. He reached out to me and he's been interviewing. He's interviewing for a full-time role. He's a graduating senior. He actually texted me about 20 minutes ago. I thought he was in the session, but yeah, Craig, 100%. Like texting is huge. We're not bothering. Like it's much easier for me to respond to a text than to respond to an email or to jump on a call with you. So hopefully we get this UD senior role at Adobe, but we'll see. Fingers crossed.
Well, Jerry, thank you. The check will be in the mail in a few weeks here.
I
Go
was thinking
ahead.
too, really quick. I was just going to, another example, actually from one of these that we did last year. Actually, the student was not on the call or on this site, but then she had seen it because it was recorded. She reached out via email, so it wasn't a call. She just shot an email, and you know, of course, I'm going to take that email because it's UD. And we had a conversation, and then that just led to, like, I fell in love with her. I'm like, she's awesome. She's a rock star. She'll be great at anything. We didn't even have like a particular role for her, but we created one, and it wasn't, you know, she's like over the moon excited about what she's doing now. We're thrilled to have her, but that was all because she put herself out there. Like Jerry said, like, just, you have nothing to lose, right? And I could have ignored it. That's true. Maybe you'll send out 20, like the numbers game, but maybe not. And that was all because of this event and just her putting herself out there.
So I like this question, and any of the three of you could jump in first, but I'm applying for internships in Chicago right now, and a number of the companies are asking for my expected salary or expected range of compensation. What do I put on that form as a college student looking for an internship?
That's a really good question. I'm not gonna lie. I think Angela, you might be best suited to take this. I will say for our positions at Snap, we disclose what the salary is, so it comes out of your. It shouldn't really be in your hands, in my opinion. Like that's a really tough question to ask for an internship. But I think what we've seen in the market, and Angela, you can correct me if I'm wrong, is that the going rate is usually somewhere around, I'd say $16 to $20 an hour is what's going in. So that's kind of where we've seen the market at. But Angela, you're probably better versed than most for this.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Like I've never heard, I never even knew that companies do that. Like, cause usually it's just, this is what the internship is all about. This is what we're paying for it. So that is interesting, unless they were asking for, like, when they say expected income, is that a question like to be like when you graduate, what profession, or are they talking strictly for the internship, what do you expect to be making?
My experience with this is that often this is a company using an applicant tracking system and not changing the forms when posting full-time versus the internship. So they're using the same screen like in an ATS like Taleo, where that's going to be a question on every single posting, even though it's not really that relevant for the internship.
Yeah, then maybe then I would do like 15 to maybe even do 25. What do you have to lose? If you're giving a big range and then letting you do that.
I agree. Don't sell
I don't
yourself
know,
short.
like if it's one of those that are just weeding out, I would make it bigger and just put 15 to 25. I mean, that's obviously the highest end, but people are paying much more. I've never seen it like this for even for those of you that are alumni. It's just a crazy job market. Companies are spending more in salaries and things like that than they ever have over the last 2 years. I mean, with this great resignation, they want good, high quality people. So you're worth it. Put in what you think and see where that leads you to.
One of our students put in the chat, and he's right. Indeed has a lot of going rates for internships, and there are other sites like Glassdoor that post current market rates for roles like internships if you're doing some benchmarking. And that advice is true when you're looking for a full-time job. Even more important, I would say, that benchmarking as well. So watching the clock, we are in our last 10 minutes here in this workshop. So I want to first ask our three panelists, and you can all please contribute. The most common question that I've gotten this evening is, I've been so impressed with this hour and our three panelists. What advice do they have for me as a student connecting with them? Is that LinkedIn? Is that an email? So not to put you on the spot in front of 1,000 flyers, but what advice do you have for current students who are watching this workshop who wish to connect with you?
I would say yes, yes, and yes. Connect with me on LinkedIn. Feel free to send me an email. I can put my email in the chat. We actually are having, our company is having a UD event in March 15th in Chicago. It's going to be on top of our rooftop. We have a West Loop office. So I'm not sure how I can get that information, but it's going to be for existing students at UD as well as alumni, just to learn more about Northwestern Mutual and the career. We've had it posted. I think I have it on my LinkedIn right now, but that's another way we can meet in person. If you're going to be, I think we made sure it was around spring break, meet other individuals within the firm, learn about different opportunities. But then, yes, by all means, connect with me on LinkedIn and email. I'd be happy to help in any way that I can.
Yeah, I
And
think
Angela, we're also promoting
LinkedIn's the
that
best one for sure, because any opportunity that we ever have, like whether it's on my team or it's on someone's team that we know about, we'll always go on to LinkedIn first. I've seen a couple of you guys doing that, LinkedIn requesting as we've been sitting here. So I think that's the easiest one to get on straight away.
Jerry?
Yeah, I want more flyers at Adobe. There are 12 currently. So if you reach out to me, if you reach out to any of them, I'm sure they'd be happy to help. But yeah, it doesn't matter how you reach out. If you reach out, I will help.
I love the fact that Angela's company is doing that event over UD spring break. And by the way, Angela, we are promoting that through our Sunday marketing email as well as Handshake, especially when we get closer to the dates of spring break.
I hope I can meet many of you. It'll be fun.
Let's pack the rooftop.
Yeah.
And
right.
invite Jerry and Craig to come over too.
Yes, please come. That would be the best.
Okay, so I want to ask each of our panelists to respond to this question, and this will be our last question of the hour, and then I have some concluding comments. So for each of you, and maybe I'll ask Craig to lead this off, I'd like for you to give your current advice to this group of Dayton Flyers. Think about yourself when you were a freshman, sophomore, or junior. What advice would you give thinking about when you were in college to this group who attended the workshop this evening?
Yeah, I mean, I think first and foremost, like, enjoy the 4 years that you're at the university. I think it's very easy for, these panels and for everyone to be extremely worried about what you're going to, like, what job are you going to land? What internship are you going to get? Where is it going to go? I think we've all been in, different like jobs over the course of our career, and things end up working themselves out one way or another. So don't stress too much about the competitive dynamic of the landscape and everything that's going on and all the numbers. I think, enjoy the time that you're at the university. It's the most memorable time that you will have in your life, I think, certainly. And I think the other piece from the professional side is just continue to add one thing at a time, right? Like if you're a freshman looking to try to get a job, like a lot of the internships place to juniors who are and then we try to place them after in a full-time role. So craft your job experiences the best you can to land. Someone gave me great advice once that said, think about what you want your job to be 2 jobs from now, not just 1 job. So what job do you need to go find out now, and what experiences do you need to get? And some of that's getting a different job. Some of it might be just going and taking a trip. Some of it might be community service or leadership events or whatever it is. So pick a couple things out to go and do. And I'd echo Jerry's comment, like, don't be afraid to reach out for help. Jason's right. We were all in your shoes at one point on the webinar. I remember watching people and being like, how am I ever going to figure out how to get to go and do that? So reach out. We're here to help. Use your network, and most importantly, have fun.
Jerry, final comments, advice to your former self, for example.
Advice to former self is it's all about the people. It's all about the relationships. The relationships you have now, the relationships you'll build in the years to come. For your entire career, it's about the relationships. So start now. Don't be afraid to reach out. People want to help. You are a student. People know it's hard. So reach out. People will help you. The worst they can say is nothing. Like, that's the worst case scenario. You ask someone for help and they don't respond. Like, that is a great worst case scenario to be in. It's all about the people.
And certainly not least, but in this case, third, Angela, your final words of advice for this large community of Dayton Flyers.
I would just, looking back when I think of that time, I would say the biggest piece of advice is just being open to having conversations with as many people about different opportunities as possible. There were so many times where I was like, I don't even know what that title is. And so maybe I closed the door on that, I thought, because of what I presumed, but be open to as many opportunities. Successful people are always open to hearing about opportunities. That is one thing, just even in my profession now, that I've learned, like, people that maybe are happy in their current role, but they're open to having a conversation. That's a sign of someone that's successful. And so by looking back, I think I would have just been more open to different opportunities if it intrigued me even slightly. Sometimes I maybe didn't do it because I thought, well, I don't know if I'm qualified enough. Just be vulnerable, throw it out there. If it interests you, like Jerry said, all they could say is no, or you get denied, or it's silent. It's fine, and move on to the next one. But cast the net wide. There's so many opportunities out there. And businesses are looking for, all of us are looking for interns, for you to test drive it and see if you enjoy it. And you may not. And then you find something else, the next year or the next summer, or even during the school year if you can.
Yeah, great feedback as well. Well, we are approaching an hour, and I want to give some final comments and then really show Flyer appreciation for our three panelists. Some reminders: if your question was not answered, I put our office's email address into the chat. If I didn't answer your question live or through asking the question, feel free to email us. As I mentioned earlier, the Spring Career and Internship Fair is on Monday, Valentine's Day, from 1 to 5 p.m. at the UD Recplex. We do have photographers there taking LinkedIn profile pictures, so even come by just for a profile picture. I promise there's an employer for all of you to fall in love with, no matter your major or year of experience. Come by. And thanks for smiling with my Valentine's Day cheese there as well. Also this Friday, beginning at 3:30 p.m. in the KU Ballroom, we have a diversity recruiting event where there are companies and engineering firms coming who wish to speak to Flyers who come from an underrepresented or person of color background. That's Friday from 3:30 until 5:30 in the KU Ballroom. I mentioned drop-in hours. For any of you who need assistance preparing for the career fair or just helping with your resume, please come in our office every weekday from noon to 3 p.m. We've got a great team ready to help you during those drop-in hours. Some of you had asked regarding a form to fill out. We're going to email out the link for feedback for this session, and for sake of time, so check your email for that feedback. However, that feedback form is not tied to completion for a point this evening. Finally, to Angela, to Jerry, to Craig, round of applause from me, from the University of Dayton family. Your advice during the last hour was truly invaluable. Thank you for giving of your time to this large audience of Dayton Flyers. I appreciate you, and thank you for joining us this evening.
My pleasure.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So
Thank
we're going to hang
you.
out for a second. This formally concludes the workshop.
It's not working
However,
for
if you
me.
have questions for us or for the panelists, we will stick around for a moment. Thank you. This concludes the workshop. Go to the career fair on Monday. And as
Thank
always,
you.
go Flyers.